Hey, welcome. It's Mark Wickersham here, and in this session we're going to looking at this whole issue of how to unlock AI, how to attract better quality clients, high-paying clients for your bookkeeping business. This is going to be a powerful session, and it's going to be very practical. What are we going to cover in this session? Well, I'm going to go into ChatGPT later, and we're going to go really super specific. So we're going to cover specifically what we're going to do is we're going to look at what are the 5 critical elements of your marketing. So if you want to grow your firm, and I'm guessing that you do want to grow your business right now, which is why you're here, we're going to look at what are the 5 critical elements. What we're also going to do is we're going to look at how we can use AI-driven strategies to attract higher paying clients into our business. I'm going to talk to you about the critical importance of building a customer avatar, sometimes called a client persona, and we're also going to be really super practical with 3 powerful prompts that I'm going to walk through with you using ChatGPT, but you could use any large language model for this to start to really to save you huge amounts of time and get better results from your marketing, because I know you are a busy practitioner, a busy accountant, busy bookkeeper with lots of client work. We never find the time to do the marketing. Well, the great news is AI is here to help us. Anyway, if you have no idea who I am, my name is Mark Wickersham. You can perhaps tell I'm from the UK. I have a different accent. I've been in this profession since way back now in 1988. I left university, went to work for a large 6-partner firm in the UK, a place called Sheffield. I spent 3 years on a training contract and qualified as a chartered accountant, I guess the nearest equivalent to a CPA, in 1991. I spent the next few years specializing in tax, particularly corporation tax. In 1996, I started my own accounting firm as a sole practitioner, ran that for a few years, and then I sold it to my client managers in a management buyout. And then from 2000 onwards, I've been teaching other firms of accountants and bookkeepers around the world, predominantly how to master value pricing. That's what I'm mainly known for, hence all the books I've written on value pricing. That's probably what you know me for. And since 2014, for the last 10 years now, 10 years old, wow, I've been running the Value Pricing Academy, which is a membership for forward-thinking accounting firm owners who want to get better results. And in the last 18 months, I've become very obsessed with how we can use AI and ChatGPT to get better results, because I'm very much focused on how can we get better results as quickly and fast as possible, and I love what we can do with this technology. So today's session is it's a marketing session. I'm going to share with you how you can grow your firm and attract better quality clients. It's also an AI session because we're going to make it really practical as I show you how we can do amazing stuff using the power of AI. So before we do that, before we get into the ChatGPT stuff, before we get into the AI, let's just step back for a bit and look at, well, let's think about marketing. What is marketing? Because you're an accounting professional. I know when I trained as an accountant, we weren't taught marketing. And yet it's a really important skill. If you want to grow your business, then you need to understand marketing. And so let's talk about what are those 5 essential elements. So here we go. Here are the 5 things that you need to know if you want to be better at growing your firm, attracting better quality clients. Firstly, it's strategy. You have to understand marketing strategy. Now, this is a huge topic. People do entire diplomas, degrees and things on marketing and marketing strategy, and they make it way too complicated. I'm a simple person. I like to keep things simple. And so I've always taught marketing strategy is really 3 steps. It's 3 steps. That's it. Number 1, the first thing you want to do is decide, and this is a decision, decide who is your ideal client. You need an ideal client profile. The mistake that many people make in the accounting profession, and I did this way back in 1996, is We think it's all about winning as many clients as possible. I was in a complete mess 3 years into my accounting firm because I had all sorts of clients across every industry you could think of. And it wasn't until 3 years later I learned this idea of ideal client profile. You need to be super clear on who is the right client and who is the wrong client. That's ideal client profile. You may have heard of niching, and it's linked very much to niching. And the more you narrow down, the more you have a niche, the better. But even if you don't want to be super specific, at least be clear on the characteristics of an ideal client. That is the first step of strategy. The second step is once you've decided what your ideal client looks like, we then need to do some research. Research into what is the client persona or customer avatar? They're both used interchangeably, avatar, persona. Essentially what we're looking at here is researching to figure out what are their fears, what are their frustrations or pain points or challenges, what do they want, and what are their aspirations and goals. Now, there's much more than those 4 aspects we can get into, but at a simple level, let's think of it as their frustrations or challenges, their fears, their wants, their aspirations. Because the better we can understand our ideal clients, the better we can understand and build a persona or an avatar for them. Once we know that with clarity, once we understand those things that are going on in their mind, the things they want, the problems they're having, then we can create marketing content and material that specifically speaks to them. So how do we do that? Well, research. We can either ask our existing ideal clients. You could ask them what are their biggest challenges in their business, what are their frustrations, and so on. We could carry out research through things like Facebook groups, through social media. But the great news is this is something that AI is really good at. It can give us a huge shortcut. And then number 3 with strategy is now we understand who we made this decision about who is our ideal client. We understand them better. Now, the third part of strategy is how do we build a product or service that specifically meets their wants, solves their problems better than anybody else? And that's the strategy behind building a super successful business, a super successful accounting firm. And what we're going to look at in a short while is step number 2. We're going to look at this idea of building a persona and how we can take a huge shortcut using AI. Okay, that's the first thing. Second, number 2, critical element is expert positioning. In a nutshell, this means all the best clients out there that you want to win. The best clients, they want the best accounting professional. They want the best bookkeeper. And so if we want to win those clients, we have to demonstrate we're the best. And we can't just say that. You can't say to a potential client in the meeting, we are the best at what we do, because anybody can say that. You have to demonstrate it. You have to prove it through expert positioning. And that's all about building your brand, if you like. It's about how people see you as being the best. And a great way of doing it, the best way of doing it, is then the third critical element of marketing, which is the most powerful form of marketing, is content marketing, particularly in our industry, because we are knowledge workers. We are selling knowledge. So content marketing, what that means is that we take some of our content, our information in our heads, and we share it with people to position us as the experts, as the best, and to bring people into our world. So that could be things like writing a book, or, okay, that sounds scary, writing an ebook. Every single accountant, every single bookkeeper running an accounting business should have at least one ebook. And the great thing is we can build brilliant ebooks with the help of AI in less than an hour. And I'm going to give you an insight into that in a short while. So watch this. So an ebook's a great thing. Another thing that we can do with content marketing is to regularly create blog posts, to post on social media, perhaps do videos. Because when we do those things, then people start to see us as being the experts, and the best firms will want to then work with you. That's content marketing. Okay, fourth element is a lead generation system. There is a general principle that the size of your income, that's the money you make, is directly proportional to the size of your list. By list, I mean how many people who you would love to have as clients, let's call them prospects, do you have their contact details, their email address? If, for example, you wanted to run a webinar about some recent government changes that impact on business owners, where at the end of that webinar, you're going to invite them to a meeting, well, the bigger your list of email addresses, the more people will show up. The more people show up, the more people book a meeting. The more people who book a meeting, the more of those will become clients. And so you need a lead generation system to capture names and email addresses. And you do that by having what's called a lead page, where you give something away for free in return for their name and email address. And what you can give away for free is something like an ebook, which is really easy to create with the help of ChatGPT, as you will very soon see. That's a lead generation system. You need a system that automatically builds your list. And then number 5 is you need to employ traffic generation. What that means is we need to drive traffic. You want people to go to, for example, your lead page to get your ebook so that you then get their email address so you can tell them about interesting stuff like webinars you want to run, the latest government changes in legislation, etc., etc. And we can drive traffic through all sorts of things like social media posts. Now, that's the 5 critical things. We need to have these skills. And one of the reasons why many accountants and bookkeepers don't do this stuff is time. The great news is we can save hours of time by using AI. So what I want to do now is take you through 3 really, really powerful prompts that will get you better results for less time. Okay, this is amazing stuff. Let's get into this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an example business. I don't know what your business is, but I'm going to use an example business. It's a bookkeeping business from Canada. I have no idea who they are. They are Toronto Bookkeeping. Here's their website. Interesting website. I'm not going to go through the website. I'm just picking a business. So imagine this is your business. So let's run some prompts. Let's look at what we could possibly do if this was your business to help you with your marketing to attract better quality clients. So I've just grabbed that website and you'll see in a second why. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go across to ChatGPT and I'm going to start a brand new chat. I'm going to assume that you have some knowledge of ChatGPT. And so I'm using ChatGPT 4.0, which is currently their best model. You can use other models, but 4.0 is the best, as it says, for more complex tasks. And so I've got that. And all we do is we post our prompt in the message at the end. Now, one of the things I teach is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is how do we communicate with AI systems? And this is, I would argue, one of the most important skills that we can learn, because if you've tried playing around with ChatGPT or other large language models and you've been disappointed by the output, then the usual reason for that is because of the prompt isn't very good. We need to write better prompts. And you'll notice actually that ChatGPT gives you 4 suggested prompts. I have no idea the point of this. This is just a kind of, for people who've never used ChatGPT and you have no idea what to use it for, you can use these prompts. But they're pretty basic and poor. They're just for playing around with. So what are we going to do? We're going to start off by, let's look at this idea of building a customer persona. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my a Trello board. So just by way of background, one of the things I do is I help accounting firms get more out of AI, particularly ChatGPT. And when I say ChatGPT, everything I'm going to cover today, if you prefer on Anthropic's Claude or Gemini by Google, you can do all this stuff with your large language model of choice. But I know that most people use ChatGPT. I prefer ChatGPT. And what I do is I build very, very detailed prompts for the firms that I work with. I think it's 100 specific prompts for accounting firms to get better results across things like pricing, business advisory, creating systems, whether it's you want help with business advisory, whether you want help with marketing, content creation, communication strategies, or whatever it might well be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my marketing section and I'm going to pick a prompt which is called customer persona simple version. I do a full 90 minutes training on customer personas. We haven't got 90 minutes, so I've got a simpler version of the prompt right now. And so the way that VPA members, Value Pricing Academy members, use this is they simply go into the prompt, click on the edit button, because we can then select the markdown version. What's Markdown? So Markdown is something that is used by things like HTML to understand formatting. So for example, you can see next to action steps, there is a hash in front of it. That's telling it that this is a heading style 1. You'll see that sometimes you'll see pairs of asterisks. That means make what's in between the pair of asterisks bold. This is just called Markdown. Why is it important? It's not essential when doing prompting, but it's really useful because large language models understand Markdown language. Let me just hit this copy button and you'll see what I mean as I go into the prompt. So I'm going to hit Control V and you'll see this prompt has got things like it's in the Markdown language. Why is that useful? Because ChatGPT, large language models understand Markdown. And they understand that if, for example, something is bold, that's particularly important. They understand the different hierarchies of different headings from heading 1 to heading 2 to heading 3. So when you use Markdown, it's telling ChatGPT or the preferred large language model the hierarchy of things, which makes prompts clearer, particularly useful with longer prompts. And as you'll see, these are all long prompts. You can see this particular prompt it's pretty big. Why is it big? Well, let me explain why. There are essentially 2 types of prompts that you can use. Let me just turn that off a second. 2 types of prompts. Sometimes you will just want a quick prompt, and sometimes a 1-sentence, 2-sentence prompt may well be sufficient. Like, give me some ideas for what my next blog post could be. That might be sufficient. But it's also very vague, and one of the things we learn about ChatGPT and AI and through prompt engineering is that the more specific we are, the more clarity there is, the more we put guardrails within the prompt, then the more predictable, the more we can specify exactly what the output is that we're looking for. And if we're looking to create a prompt that we might want to use over and over and over again, then it's worth investing some time into that prompt so it becomes a prompt template or a system that we can use. So in our business, we have prompt templates, for example, for writing blog posts. We can use the same prompt every single time. And so one of the things that I do to make things a prompt template, I'm not sure if it's a word, but templatizing a prompt, one of the things that I do with many of my prompts and the ones you'll see today is make them templates by including variables. Now this one just has one variable, it's website. So what this means is that all you need to do with this particular prompt is add your website for creating a customer persona. But the interesting thing is that you could you could use this for different types of businesses. You could run this prompt, for example, and create a customer persona for a client. You would just put in the client's website. Okay, so I've just put that in there, by the way. So I put the variable is this Toronto Bookkeepers. I put their website in there. Let's now go back a step. Let's just quickly go through the prompt. I'm not going to go through every word in it because prompt engineering is a big topic. I teach people in the Value Pricing Academy prompt engineering on a frequent basis because this is such an important skill going forward. The more we go into this AI-driven world, the more that the skill of being able to communicate with AI becomes increasingly important. So here we go. Here's the prompt. It starts off with this. You are a copywriting expert skilled in building customer avatars. That's what's called giving it a role. What we know from prompt engineering is that we know that the default role that ChatGPT plays is a helpful assistant, and it gives a great result as a helpful assistant. But we've also found out from experimenting and learning about prompt engineering that when we ask the AI to play a different role, you get a more specific, more nuanced, a better answer. In this case, you'll get the answer that a copywriting expert would give. more detailed. So then we have the task. I wanted to give me three possible avatars for a business, and then write an avatar for the most likely one. To complete your task, you must follow the action steps and use the template to guide your response. So I'm telling you, here's what I want you to do, but I want you to follow these specific steps, and I want you to follow the template as a guidance as to what the layout's going to be. So then we have the action steps. And what I wanted to do is step 1 is to analyze the website. And I've made it a variable. So rather than having to find and cut and paste the website into all these places, you just put it at the end like I showed you. And it knows that when it says website, it goes to the end and will say, that's the website. Okay. So that's the first variable. Analyze this website so you better understand the business and its offering. Because we have to give ChatGPT some context. You have to train it in your business before it can create a customer avatar. So then what it'll do is, based on the specific features, benefits, and overall description of this business, suggest 3 avatars, giving a name for each and a short 1-sentence description. So it's going to give me 3 possible avatars for this bookkeeping business. And then what it's going to do in step 3 is it's going to suggest for me which it thinks is the most appropriate of those 3, most suitable target customer, and it's going to give me a detailed description, including their values, their aspirations, their pain points, their challenges. Remember, that's why I talked about as step 2 in strategy. It's going to build for me the avatar across those 4 elements. At values, if I counted that right, including values, aspirations, pain points, and challenges. And there are many more things that we could build into customer avatars and personas, but that's a good starting point. And then what I've done is I've given it a template to follow. So this is making it very specific in terms of the format of what I want it to do. So I want it to list 3 possible avatars. I want it to then give me the name of the most likely one of those 3, a brief description. Then I wanted to suggest what is the pain points, what are the fears, what are the wants and the aspirations. They're the 4 things I talked about earlier. And then what I've done is I've fed it some examples that I put into the prompt. You don't need to read the examples, but here's the reason why examples are really important. Large language models like ChatGPT essentially look for patterns. They basically predict what is the next word. They're not intelligent. They just predict the next word based on huge amounts of training data. And so it looks for patterns. And so when you want to get a specific type of output, if you feed it an example, and in this case a template as well, it's then going to look at those examples, and that will help it establish the pattern of exactly what you are looking for. Right, let's run this because I think it'll all become clearer as we then run the prompt. And I'm conscious of time because we only have 45 minutes together. We're halfway through and that's flown by. And I have 2 or 3 more prompts to show you. Anyway, we just hit that button, we send that, and ChatGPT is going to do some thinking. Now, it's a little bit slow at the moment just because it's now reading the website. So it's searching the website. So if you ask it to search a website, it'll sometimes be a little bit slower. And sometimes it struggles, but no, it's done that. And what it's doing now for this bookkeeping business, imagine it was your business, it's telling us that there are the possible avatars could be Sarah, the small business owner. So this is a driven entrepreneur managing a small business in Toronto who needs reliable bookkeeping to focus on growth and avoid financial stress. So we've got 3 possible avatars. And what it's now going to do is give us an avatar for the one it thinks is the most likely. It happens to have chosen Sarah. But this means that you could choose different ones. Why is this important? Because even if you've got a very narrow niche, you will still have within that niche different types of clients with different wants, with different frustrations, challenges, fears, aspirations. And when you write some marketing content in content marketing, a blog post, an ebook, you want to make sure you're specifically addressing a particular type of client with a particular set of challenges. So if you're writing an ebook, then you need to think about who is the person you're writing to? Who is the person that you want to attract with this particular marketing campaign? Now, if you read this and decide you want to do something for all three of them, you could either create 3 separate ebooks, and that's a great thing to do, or 3 different blog posts, or you could combine these. Anyway, I'm going to assume for now, let's go with what ChatGPT is suggesting, which is it thinks Sarah for this business is perhaps the most likely avatar. So then what it does is it describes. So Sarah is a 38-year-old entrepreneur who owns a boutique marketing agency in downtown Toronto. The reason why we give it a name is we're thinking about our typical clients, and the more we can put a name to that, a picture, and build up a picture, then the better our marketing is going to be. You'll see that as we move on to the next couple of prompts. And so we can then look at what their pain is. So Sarah struggles with keeping her financial records organized while managing the day-to-day operations of her business. The complexity of tax regulations and the need for accurate financial reporting add to her stress, particularly during tax season. She worries about missing tax deadlines, potential errors in her financial statements, and the impact these issues could have on her business's reputation and financial stability. So my question for you is, does that describe a typical client of yours? And if that does describe typical clients as their pain points, then when you create your marketing, you want to address that pain, because other people out there who are also experiencing that pain are then going to read your marketing and think, this bookkeeper understands me. I need to read this. So pain is really important. We want to understand their pains, frustrations, challenges. Now, fears. What does Sarah fear? Sarah fears that her lack of expertise in financial management could lead to costly mistakes, such as non-compliance with tax laws or missed opportunities for tax deductions. She's also concerned about the time-consuming nature of bookkeeping tasks, which takes away from her ability to focus on business growth. Additionally, she worries that without proper financial oversight, she might encounter cash flow problems that could hinder her business's expansion. Then we've got what she wants. I'm not going to read that out to you now because I want to move on. And then what her goals, aspirations, hopes are. And so you would just read that and ask yourself the question, does this sound like a typical sort of client of mine and the sorts of people that I want to reach with my current marketing campaign? And if you decide, yes, that sounds like my ideal client, then that means that if we write an ebook, let's say, or a blog post or any piece of content that specifically deals with these pain points, these fears, these wants, these aspirations, then that piece of marketing content is going to particularly speak to the Sarahs out there that have those frustrations, the people that fit in to your ideal client profile. So I really hope you have started to understand that. I know very often accountants, bookkeepers have struggled to understand the importance in marketing strategy of having 1 or 2 customer personas, customer avatars. Let's now see how this then works with the next prompt, because all we've done so far is build a prompt for Sarah, the small business owner. And what I'm just going to do for a second, just to speed up our time together, I'm just going to grab and copy and paste that into a place that I have here. And it doesn't actually say in this particular, she owns a boutique marketing agency. I'm just going to grab, let's imagine that's also your ideal client is boutique marketing agencies. It might be you need to change that. If ChatGPT, if you might read this and think, this is amazing, but actually I don't specialize with marketing agencies. I prefer to have doctors and dentists. But the reason it's got that is that must have been on the website for that one I fed. When you feed it the website first, you are training ChatGPT in your business. And so you will hopefully get something that fits your type of client. Anyway, I'm just going to grab that. You'll see why in a second. I'm just going to copy and paste it into this particular variable. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is let's look at the process of writing an ebook. I recently, a few months back, did a session for my Value Pricing Academy Level 2 members, Level 2 Growth, where we did 90 minutes and I showed them all the prompts they need. And immediately an amazing lady called Sarah Bridges came back and said she's now written her ebook. It took her less than 90 minutes to create her ebook following an 8 series of prompts that I taught. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 of the prompts. We only have a short amount of time together. I'll give you as much as I can. So I'm back at my prompt library. I'm looking at ebook creation. And so now we know who is our target market. Let's now, if we're writing an ebook, this will be the same as a blog post and any other piece of content. Let's brainstorm or get some help with brainstorming. What type of topics could we come up with that will meet that particular avatar? So I've just copied that particular prompt. Let's add a second follow-up now. And have I got the right one? Let me just check. Have I got the right prompt? Ebook content creator. Sometimes I copy and paste the wrong things. No, that's right. Yes, so all I need to do now is I just need to feed it the customer avatar. So if I go and copy and paste Sarah, the small business owner, there you go. You could have picked any of those suggested avatars. You could build other avatars. We're going to use Sarah, the small business owner. And if I just go back to the prompt. So you're a marketing expert this time with deep understanding of customer needs and pain points. And what I want you to do, ChatGPT, is to propose 3 possible topics for an ebook, each including a suggested title, a 1-sentence overview, and a list of 5 key chapters. Because when doing ebooks, I always think, teach 5 things. Each chapter should be a step to take towards the outcome. By the way, I've written dozens of ebooks. I teach accountants how to write ebooks. So I've built into this prompt a lot of my things I've learned over the years on how to create really good ebooks. And I've then given it each possible topic must do one of 2 things. I'm not going to go through the prompt in detail. I'm conscious of time. This will be a 90-minute training session normally. I've given it a template for the layout. I've given it an example because examples are really important. And then we have the variable. So let's see what ChatGPT, now it understands Sarah, the small business owner, who, if you remember, is a boutique marketing agency. Let's see what suggestions it has for an ebook. So here we go. Here's the first topic, Mastering Financial Clarity, the Essential Guide to Bookkeeping for Small Business Success. Outline, this ebook will provide Sarah, the small business owner, with a step-by-step guide to organizing and managing her bookkeeping efficiently, empowering her to maintain financial clarity and make informed decisions. And then it's going to give us the 5 chapters or learning points. It's going to walk through, we could do chapter 1 is setting up an effective bookkeeping system, recording transactions accurately, managing accounts payable and receivable, generating and understanding financial reports, preparing for tax seasons. You might think, yeah, that's a great suggestion for an ebook. Or you could have one that's around stress-free tax season, a small business owner's survival guide, where it's about understanding your tax obligations, organizing your financial documents, maximizing tax deductions, avoiding common tax filing mistakes, and planning ahead for the tax year, or boosting your bottom line, how strategic bookkeeping can drive business growth. And again, we've got 5 there. So you've got 3 great ideas for what would be a great ebook for a small business owner like Sarah. So what we're going to do next, having now got those ideas, and I'm going to go with, let's say you want topic 3. Okay, we'll go with topic 3. So having got the ideas, the next thing we want to do is start to write the prompt and create the content. So what I'm going to do is let's move to ebook content creator as a prompt. So let me just bear me a second while I grab the markdown, copy it. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. And I'm going to paste this in. You can see the power of having prompt templates now. You can just copy and paste the templates that you use. This is why for my Academy members, I've created about 100 ready-to-use prompts for all sorts of parts of their business, because so many things you can do in just seconds that would have taken hours before. This is the power of AI. Right, with this one, we've got quite a few variables on this particular one. So it wants to know, now we're doing the writing bit of it, what is your writing style? And you can either describe your writing style, or I teach people how they can use ChatGPT to create a writing style guide, which you can then upload. We also want to feed it which chapter are we writing, because this is a prompt you need to run multiple times, in this case 5 times, once for each chapter. Doesn't take long, but it's always better with long form content like an ebook to write it 1 section at a time. it still will only take you a matter of probably 5 minutes to create all 5 chapters. Okay. It also wants confirmation of the audience. So this is a boutique marketing agency, and we want to know the avatar itself. So and then we want to know what the outline is. And the outline in this case is going to be the previous response. So what I'm going to do is actually I need to change that last. I'm going to just grab these. Control C. Let me go back to the first of the variables. Let me just highlight that and just replace them with one with the answers put in, just to save you watching me type. So I do need to say previous response, and I just need to just put, because there were 3 outlines. So I'm just going to grab topic 3. Control C from its output. I'm going to make that the variable. I want it to write now for topic 3, boosting your bottom line. So writing style, we want to write this in a motivational and authoritative tone and in a professional and persuasive style, using short sentences and paragraphs of no more than 3 sentences. So that's option 1. You could just simply describe your writing style, and that will be great. If you're at a more advanced level, then you can use ChatGPT to teach, you can train it in your writing style, which I've done. I have a 2-page writing style guide that I would instead write, I would say here, see the attached writing style guide, and I would just drag it in and upload it. I have it on my desktop. It's always on my desktop in front of me, because anytime I'm doing written stuff, I want it to write just like me. So I feed it my writing style guide. Something I teach in my Value Pricing Academy Level 3 mastery firms. Right, chapter name. Now this is the variable that will change. I'll come back to this one last, actually. So audience, we are specifically writing for boutique marketing agencies. Remember, that's Sarah. And the customer avatar we're going to use again is Sarah, the small business owner. Now, ChatGPT probably knows that because we said that earlier, but it does no harm in repetition. It also means that you could run this prompt as a standalone, not part of this chat. And I've told it that I want to use topic number 3. Let me go back to chapter number, because this prompt we're going to run 5 times. Probably not today, because I want to do something else. But what I would then do is I could just put chapter 1, but actually just for clarity, within this topic 3 outline, chapter 1 is linking to bookkeeping to business strategy. I'm going to put the whole of that into there rather than chapter number. And just for clarity, I'm going to put chapter 1 or 1 dot linking bookkeeping to business strategy. Let's just go back to the start of the prompt. So I have a prompt here that says, this time I want you to be an experienced content writer specialized in creating informative and engaging ebooks for audience. And the audience is boutique marketing agencies, remember? Because that's the variable. The description is to write a specific chapter, which this time round is chapter 1, of an ebook using the provided outline, which is outline 3. The ebook is to be educational and written for boutique marketing agencies, that's the audience, and must address the pain points experienced by Sarah, the small business owner. I'm hoping you're seeing why variables are really powerful, because you can create really great prompts that you can use over and over and over again, and all you have to do is just go to the end and tell it what the variables are. And then it must adhere to the writing style. To complete the task, you must follow the rules. I haven't got time to go into the importance of rules yet, but there are certain things you can build into prompts that help you to get more consistent, better responses. I've given it some outcome expectations. I've given it a detailed example, which I won't go through now, but it's just so it can follow that in terms of the writing, the layout, and so on. I've got some rules in there and the variables. So let me hit play or go, send, and it's going to write chapter 1. So the strategic value of bookkeeping for a boutique marketing agency. Every decision must be backed by clear and accurate financial data. Bookkeeping is more than just a task. It's a strategic asset. By aligning your bookkeeping practices with your business strategy, you can unlock insights that drive growth, enhance efficiency, and ensure long-term success. And that's a great start to chapter number 1. And it's then going to look at what are the key metrics for strategic decision making. So to transform bookkeeping from a routine task into a strategic tool, focus on the key metrics that matter most to your agency. So it's specific to this agency, to Sarah. Revenue streams, expense categories, cash flow. This is really powerful stuff. Now I've chosen the strategy one. You might prefer the tax one or the doing your bookkeeping. I just chose topic number 3. So that's chapter 1, integrating financial data into business planning, optimizing financial processes for strategy growth, and transforming bookkeeping into a competitive advantage. And then I've told it to end with a top tip each time. So chapter 1 ends with regularly integrating your financial insights into your strategic planning. Not only keeps your business on track, but also opens up new opportunities for growth and efficiency. Make bookkeeping a cornerstone of your business strategy and watch your agency thrive. So this would be a great chapter 1 for a boutique marketing agency like Sarah, the small business owner. Now what we do with this, and here's a little ChatGPT tip. This is why one of the things I love about ChatGPT. That's chapter 1. And what you do is you copy and paste that into a Word document. But what we can then do is when we do chapters 2, 3, and 4, all we need to do is this. Firstly, if I just go back to the outline, which you could have copied and pasted into a Word document, but chapter 2 is identifying cost-saving strategies. I'm just going to copy that. Chapter 2, we go back to our prompt. The prompt has an edit symbol. I can edit this prompt. In other words, I can tell it to have another go at it. So I'm going to edit it. And now we've got the prompt again. Here. Let me just check I've done the right thing. It's here. Here's the, let me just cancel that. Let me just check I'm doing the right. Sometimes though, it's not always easy to find the prompt. That's chapter 1. I want this prompt. It's this particular prompt. I'm looking for the pencil icon. It's a long prompt, so sometimes it's hard to navigate. Okay, and so if I go to the end of this prompt, here we go, sorry. So all I need to do is change chapter to this second chapter and just change the 1 to a 2. And if I hit send, it's now going to redo that response. And you will see, you will notice in ChatGPT that after the prompt, where is it? Let me get to the bottom. After the prompt, you will find there's a little 2 of 2. 2 of 2, because it's now redoing that, but this time it's chapter 2, identifying cost-saving opportunities, unlocking hidden savings in your boutique marketing agency. What a great chapter for chapter 2 for Sarah's business. Very specific, very well written. Here's a whole bunch of ideas. There you go, it's done. It's written chapter 2, but if I go back to this 2 out of 2, I can now skip back to here's chapter 1, here's chapter 2. So if you don't need to copy and paste each time. You could run the 5 prompts for the 5 chapters, and then you just scroll through each of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cut and paste chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. There is the content of your ebook. And you would then just put that in a Word document, review it, edit it if you want to, tweak it if you need to. That's the content. Now, having then done that, then what you want to do is put that in a separate document somewhere, because later in the process, and this is the last one I'm going to show you just very quickly, is having written the content, we want to write the introduction last. In fact, we want to write the headline last. And so we can write a great, powerful introduction. This will be more powerful if we feed it the content, and then it'll use marketing language to create a great ebook introduction. So let me just very quickly show you this one, because we're almost out of time. Markdown, copy, back to here. If I just put this one in here. So what this one's going to do is then you're an experienced content writer specializing in creating informative ebooks, and the task is to write the introduction for the ebook that I've attached. So then you would attach the ebook itself, the content, which was from the previous prompt. It's going to analyze that ebook content and identify what are the key benefits the reader will attain from reading it and the expected outcome. And then based on marketing copywriting, I've explained a process and a set of words on how we set out that introduction so it's compelling. Okay, we have got, I think, 1 minute left. So very, very quickly, what I want to just finally wrap up with is, if you've enjoyed this, then I'm going to put some links. Number one, I'm going to give you a link to my most popular session of 2024 in the Value Pricing Academy, my level 3 mastery level, all about prompts for pricing. I don't normally share the member-only content. It's my most powerful stuff. I'm going to give you the link. I'm also going to share with you in a link a list to join my VIP list. And when you join the list, every Monday we send out a newsletter which includes our prompt of the week. So if you love these prompts, we share one every single week with our VIP list. The link is below. And finally, last, if you're enjoying this session, I am running other sessions at the Successful Bookkeeper Summit. They may have happened already, so you might want to grab the recording. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you hopefully again on another live session. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Bye for now.